Hello everyone, today we'll be taking a look at a new classic fantasy box from Wargames Atlantic as I check out the Skeleton Cavalry and Chariots set. Okay, so here's the box for your Cavalry and Chariots. 10 horses, 2 chariots, 25 multi-part hard plastic 28mm figures. It's a brave new undead world. Bit of backstory / fluff. And then how to assemble. So it's up to 10 cavalry, up to 2 chariots, 25-foot mounted warriors, blah, blah, blah. You'll see all of that in a moment. So obviously, this is the second skeleton box from Wargames Atlantic. They do an infantry one that allows you to assemble 32 infantry figures. And I assumed that part of that, because it's a little half frame, I assumed some of those would be in here. I was wrong. So, the box contains 2 sprue types. You get 2 chariot sprues. We'll have a look at those in a moment. And then you get 5 of these larger cavalry sprues. So, let's start here. And we'll work our way up / down. You get 6 left arms in 2 different poses. You get 6 heads. Let's chuck that around there. 3 open, 3 closed. Helmet-wise, helm with transverse crest. Helm without a crest, and then helm with a regular. Don't know what the alternative to transverse is. I probably do. I just can't think of it. But there's the crest there. So front to back. Corinth style helms. Earlier sort of Bronze Age Greek feel to them. You get, this is a weird one. 2 different sword types. So we have a Greek Kopish type sword here. Then we've got 2 that I would say look like more Dark Age to medieval European style sword with a cross piece on it. And why that's weird is you get 3 of these, 2 of these. However, there is another sword here. That's another Kopish style. So I thought they would do 3 and 3, but they did 4 and 2. This one has a slightly engraved look on it. Actually, they all have that, so it's not even a leader version. Yeah, there's just 4 and 2. Don't know why. Somebody decided to do it that way, so they did. After that, we have skeletons themselves. So here we have, across the middle, 1, 2, 3 riders. You can see 2 are bare naked skeletons. The last one is wearing both greaves and cuirass. Then we have 2 skeletons standing. Now, they also come with puddle bases, so you can make them into infantry. Or if you leave them off, they can go on a chariot, which is a nice touch. We have 2 skeleton steeds, Bump and Bump, quite chunky fellows. Then there's a couple of other bits and pieces, like we have 2 quivers to go with the 2 sets of arrows and bows, 1 firing, 1 reloading styly. And then we have a host of spear / javelin type weaponry here, a singular horn, and 2, I'm going to call them infantry shields. So a hoplon and a pelte, which is quite nicely textured on the back as well. You can see the internal rope and then the wicker facing on that as well. And then here we have 2 smaller shields for the cavalry, textured with wood grain on the back, very concave, convex, depending on the side you're looking at it. Small round on the front. So that's the first of the sprues, and it's packed. It's absolutely jam-packed. Words really fail me when it's, just so much. So very, very much. Then we have our little teeny tiny Bronze Age chariot. There are two different side types, so either braced and covered in hide or open here. Nicely textured base for the chariot. You've got the front that has the stitching to hold the hide onto the frame. We have a couple of wheels. We have the main yoke body, and then the front piece, cross piece of the yoke that actually holds the animals. And there's two little saddly type affairs with leather coming off them. They also have these little triangular indents, hopefully you can see, which we've seen before on the horse, just the plastic horses from the horse accoutrement set for putting the saddle cloths on. So let's have a look at some of the built stuff. All right, so here's an example of one of the built chariots. I'll lift that off. Build for the chariot. This is the first one I built. I made one mistake with the cross piece on the yoke. This should go above, which I can show you on the other chariot. But what I will say is it's a very tightly engineered bit of kit. And I was a bit ham-fisted. So on the chariot sprue, and I missed this initially, probably because I'm old and my eyes are going, but you might be able to see there, that is a half circle facing flat edge towards the right, half circle, flat edge down. It's not a major issue on this because these have hide covers on them here. However, my initial build, I was using these and I put them the wrong way round and just tried to force it in. So that needs to be watched out for. There is a specific side for these frames, which goes on left, which goes on right, and it all comes down to those little connection points in there. So watch that on your build. However, it's a really nice setup. There's a spare empty arm, which I presume is so that I can do this and have one on the reins while another is fighting from the back of his chariot, which is a really nice look, and I'm a fan. The skeleton steeds themselves are big, chunky horses. Looking straight down the barrel, because they've only got two halves, they've had to sacrifice some of this detail. So we have obviously open rib cage here, but at the very front you can see it's textured to look like there's ribs there, but they're not pierced all the way through, so they can be cast. However, for speed of assembly and for rigidity and durability for gaming piece, I'm more than happy to sacrifice that sort of knock-kneed approach at the front. They are big and hefty. I did, as you can see here, mix the two sides. So see if you can mix and match them, because otherwise you've got the same two steeds all the time, and you can. You'll find that one of the bodies is quite happily will take both sides sitting on the big puddle base. The other one you run into a slight issue because the body length itself is shorter. So one of the legs hangs off the front, it doesn't contact it, but these are going to end up glued to a larger base anyway, whether it's 25 by 50 or on a chariot body. But overall, really, really nice design, nice bit of kit for these. Size-wise, little horses are just over 30mm to 35mm to eye level and 40mm to the top of the head. The chariot itself is, let's get a real ruler in for this so I can actually tell you, 40mm wide and from front to back 65mm long. When you bring the steeds in, it will push that to around 80mm in length. So overall, really nice. I like the chariots. I like the horses. I like the fact that they've done this with the infantry, so you can have mounted neatly into the back of the chariot, or you can have them on your puddle bases for infantry. So here's the second one I built, which was much easier. Those little notches I was talking about, the tolerances are very tight, and you might need to give it a quick buff with wire wool or a quick scrape with the back of a knife, just to get the pegs in, because obviously sometimes you get a seam line or a mold line from where the sprue halves, or the two halves came together to make the sprue rather. Here is the correct fitting for that front yoke, so it fits on neatly. These two pieces just bend round and sort of clamp into the bottom of the wicker work. Then you've got the open sides all the way through. This is not listed as Skeleton Chariot. This is listed on the sprue as a Chariot, singular. And if I bring in a horse, you can see that little piece fits beautifully onto their already existing horse sprue to make yourself a Bronze Age horse. Now, I know a long time ago I seen talk of Trojans in the future, but certainly any sort of ancient Greek or biblical army, a lot of them will use this chariot quite happily. So having a Bronze Age style chariot is absolutely spot on. I like the fact that they're sort of future-proofing or making it usable by multiple types is a great way of doing it. Cavalry then. Here we have a couple of our Greeks fighting from horseback, like Greeks shouldn't. They probably think they're someone. So you've got that one with the full bronze cuirass on, and his mate without. Again, nice sculpts. The riders' bodies, I found a little fiddly to get to sit there. Obviously there's no saddles on the undead steeds, because they wouldn't have worn saddles or used saddles, and they didn't have stirrups either, so all their feet hang down, which is actually a really nice touch. So I found it best to their knee just contacts the back of the, I suppose, shoulder blade of the horse, just on either side, and then the bottom of their bottom, so their pelvis bone, or the pelvic bone is notched to a certain extent, so it sort of sits neatly onto the spine. But yeah, 3 points of contact with glue, and he's well on there now. But just initially, there was a bit of sliding back and forth to make sure that it didn't fall off. But yeah, you've your melee style cavalry, and then I've done a couple of sort of light skirmishing cav. One with bow, one with javelins, And as you can see here, this is the one whose two sides are mixed, so he doesn't sit onto the front. However, it will still sit quite happily upright. It's very stable. There's not a major issue with it. So that's our cav. And then we have infantry. I've done a couple of archers and a couple of peltasts. The little pelte. So one piece torso and legs. You're only having to put the arms and the heads on, which is good. Ball socket joints, so plenty of posability there. Like a lot of posability. Let's just grab one of these. Here shall be our size guide. So here we have him 28mm to hollow socket level. And they're a really nice set. What I will say is, because there's always issues with something somewhere, whether it's the thick cavalry or in this case the little puddle bases, these look like they're identical, as do the feet. So one flat, one on the ball of the feet, likewise one flat, one ball. However, they are ever so slightly different, and these are ever so slightly different. You'll see one of them's got a slightly thicker right leg or right foot position than the other. It won't make a huge difference once you've got plastic glue on them, but you will find that they will fit neatly onto one, and there's no way of telling. You just have to dry fit both to see which goes where, but they're really nice. I've mostly done them all as light, so either terrible spindles or peltists. I did do one as a heavy infantryman, just to show something, because the main skeleton box that you can get, I think is a better way of doing your hoplite carrying infantrymen, because they have the proper butt spike on the spear and they have pike as well. These are more like javelins or cavalry spears because they don't have a butt spike on them for balance. But because there are so many of these bodies with the full breastplate, I decided to do a very quick conversion and literally just cut him off directly beneath the breastplate and then cut one of the infantry bodies just directly above the hips, and then that just let me make a fully armoured skeleton warrior. And that's just for my own personal amusement, because there is so much flexibility with that set, especially the fact that the feet all hang, which means if you want to make dead bodies for other bases, you can do that very easily. A lot of times when you want to use skeletons, they've either got feet on a base or they're all stuck out at 90-degree angles to the legs, whereas here they're perfect for decoration. And you're going to have a lot of stuff to decorate, because if you take a sprue, so we have our main sprue here, 2 horse and then 3 cavalry bodies, so you can make 2 cav, and then you've got 2 infantry, so you can make 2 infantry. Great. So every sprue lets you make 4. However, if you make chariots, and there are 2 chariots in the box, then that takes 2 of the cav away, which means right off the bat you've got 3 spare cavalry bodies per sprue, so you're going to have 6 of these free immediately. So right off the bat, if you want to start doing conversions or use more of these to make a more melee focused box, you can do that. And then just the sheer volume of additional head options for more skulls, more arms, more of everything. They're all there. This is an exceptional sprue. I'm really, really impressed with how much they've managed to squeeze in there to allow you to make a whole host of various types of undead. It brings me back to my youth, be it ever so long ago. But you can have your peltists, your bowmen, a box of this, and then throw in a couple of boxes of the infantry and you're golden. So there we have it, a exceptional box set from Wargames Atlantic, and I don't use that lightly. The sheer diversity on the sprues is impressive. The options in there to give you cavalry, infantry and chariots is fantastic. Depending on what you're playing, you may go full cavalry and infantry, you might not bother with the chariots, in which case they can go to the bits box, or you might want to go ham on the chariots and only have some skirmishing cav with them, depending on the style of play you're going for. For some games, like Saga Age of Magic, for example, there's just so much in there. And then you combine that with the standard infantry box with 32 in there, and it's astounding and outstanding better, because you can make so many different types of regiment. You can do your peltists, your hoplites, your phalangites. You can have light cav, medium cav, chariots, all out of 2 boxes. There's just so much going on. They've packed so much on those sprues. So let me know what you think below. If you're an undead player and you haven't looked at the Wargames Atlantic boxes, you really should. Definitely should now, because they're amazing. Let me know what you think below. Until next time, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.